welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be exploring something called IFC5,
Okay.
the next big thing in Vim.
Sounds good.
And you sent us some interesting stuff about IFC5, and honestly, I'm curious to understand what all the fuss is about.
Right.
It seems like IFC5 is poised to revolutionize
Yeah.
how we exchange and manage building information, and you want to understand exactly how it improves upon the current version,
Right.
IFC 4.3.
Right. So it's not just a minor update. It's
Yeah.
a complete overhaul designed to meet the demands of a rapidly changing AEC industry.
Okay, so before we jump into the specifics,
Sure.
can we take a step back for a second and just explain what IFC is for those who might not be familiar?
Of course.
But-
IFC stands for Industry Foundation Classes, and you can think of it as a universal language for buildings.
Okay.
It allows different software used in the building process, like architecture, engineering, construction, to understand each other and exchange information seamlessly.
So kind of like a universal translator that breaks down those data silos we hear so much about.
Exactly. Imagine architects, engineers, contractors, and even facility managers all being able to work with the same data throughout a building's entire life cycle.
Yeah,
That's the power of a standardized format like IFC.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So if IFC is already doing all that,
Yeah.
why do we need a new version? What's the driving force behind IFC5?
Well, the way we use BIM is changing dramatically.
Okay.
Think about things like connected digital twins, smart cities, and buildings that stream real-time data.
Oh, wow.
The current version of IFC 4.3, is great for exchanging files,
Yeah.
but it simply can't keep up with these new technologies.
Okay, so IFC 4.3 is like trying to send a giant package through the mail.
Yes,
When what you really need is a high-speed internet connection.
that's a great analogy. File-based systems are slow, prone to errors,
Right.
and can't provide the real-time updates that are essential in today's world. IFC5 is designed from the ground up to support object-based transactional data exchange.
Okay.
Instead of sending entire files back and forth, you're exchanging just the specific pieces of information that have changed.
That sounds way more efficient.
Yeah.
But honestly, object-based transactional data exchange sounds a bit intimidating.
Uh-huh.
Could you break that down for me?
Think of it like editing a Google Doc with a colleague.
Okay.
You see their changes in real time,
Yeah.
and only the specific edits are transmitted.
Right.
IFC5 brings that same dynamic, collaborative approach to the world of BIM.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a helpful way to visualize it.
Yeah.
So it's about moving away from static files
Yes.
and embracing a more fluid, interconnected approach to data exchange.
Precisely. And this shift is reflected in many of the key innovations in IFC5.
Okay.
For example, one of the biggest changes is the introduction of modularization.
I've seen that term pop up a lot in the materials you sent.
Yeah.
Can you demystify what modularization means in the context of IFC5?
Imagine a giant Lego set where each brick represents a specific domain of building information.
Yeah.
Structural, architectural, mechanical, and so on.
Uh-huh.
Instead of having one monolithic schema that tries to cover everything,
Right.
IFC5 is broken down into these modular components.
Okay.
Software can choose to support only the modules they need,
Right.
which makes implementation much easier and more flexible.
So it's like being able to build a custom Lego model by choosing only the bricks you need for your specific creation.
Exactly. And just like you can easily add new Lego bricks to your collection,
Yeah.
IFC5 allows for faster updates and the implementation of new features.
Okay.
Let's say a new type of structural element is developed.
Mhm.
Instead of waiting for a major IFC update,
Right.
the relevant module can be updated independently,
Okay.
allowing software to quickly support the new element.
That's a pretty neat system.
Yeah.
It reminds me of how apps on your phone get updated independently without requiring you to download a whole new operating system. So modularization is all about making IFC5 more adaptable and future-proof.
Absolutely. And this adaptability is further enhanced by another key concept in IFC5,
Okay.
late binding.
Ah, late binding.
Yeah.
That one sounds particularly complex. Can you explain it in a way that even I can understand?
Think of late binding as a universal translator that can understand data from any source,
Okay.
even if it hasn't specifically learned that particular format beforehand.
So like a super smart translator that can decipher any language it encounters.
Precisely. This means that software can work with IFC data in a more dynamic way
Okay.
without being limited by the specific definitions in the schema.
Can you give me a real-world example of how late binding might work in practice?
Sure. Let's take the example of a door manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
In the current IFC, the definition of a door type is fixed within the schema.
Right.
But with late binding, the manufacturer could actually provide their own specific door types
Okay.
with all the necessary information without needing to modify the IFC schema itself.
That sounds like it could streamline the process of integrating manufacturer-specific components into BIM models.
Yes.
No more wrestling with compatibility issues.
Exactly. It's all about making the process smoother, more efficient, and more adaptable to the ever-changing landscape of building products and technologies.
This is all starting to make sense.
Good.
But I'm sensing a theme here. It seems like IFC 5 is really about breaking down limitations
Yes.
and embracing a more flexible and adaptable approach to BIM.
You hit the nail on the head. And this philosophy extends to another fundamental aspect of IFC 5,
Okay.
the IFC product tree, which is basically the hierarchy of all building elements in IFC.
I've seen references to the product tree, but honestly, it sounds a bit like something out of a computer science textbook.
Sure.
Can you explain what it is and why the changes in IFC 5 matter?
Think of the FSC product tree like a family tree for all the building elements in a BIM model.
Okay.
It defines how different elements are related to each other and inherit properties. IFC 5 streamlines this tree significantly, making it more intuitive and easier to work with.
Can you give me an example of how this simplification plays out in practice?
Sure. In the current IFC,
Okay.
there are separate entities for elements and their types. For instance, you have an if door and an ISIC door type.
Okay.
This duplication can get pretty complex.
Right.
IFC 5 simplifies this by defining elements directly by their type.
Okay.
So an if door would simply be an if element of type if door type.
Okay. So it's about removing redundancy and making the schema cleaner and more efficient.
Exactly. And this change, combined with the concept of type inheritance, can lead to significant time savings, especially for manufacturers.
Okay.
They can define a base door type with all the common properties and then create specific subtypes for each of their door models, inheriting those base properties and only defining the unique characteristics.
I'm starting to see how all these changes in IFC 5 modularization, late binding, simplifying the product tree, all fit together to create a more streamlined and adaptable standard.
That's exactly right. And it's not just about making things easier for software developers.
Right.
These changes have a direct impact on how AEC professionals will use Vim in the future.
That brings me to something I've been wondering about.
Okay.
With all these changes and new features,
Yeah.
is there a risk of IFC 5 becoming too complex for the average architect or engineer to grasp?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah, it already sounds pretty technical.
But the beauty of IFC 5 is that much of this complexity will be handled behind the scenes by software vendors.
Yeah.
They will develop intuitive tools and interfaces that leverage the power of IFC 5 without requiring users to become data modeling experts.
So it's kind of like how we don't need to understand the intricacies of computer code to use our smartphones or browse the internet.
Yeah.
The technology should work for us, not the other way around.
Exactly. The goal is to empower AEC professionals with better tools and workflows,
Right.
not to burden them with unnecessary technical details.
That's reassuring.
Good.
So we've talked a lot about the high-level changes in IFC 5, but I'm curious to dive into some more concrete examples of how these features will play out in real-world scenarios.
Absolutely. Let's take a closer look at how late binding might transform the way we work with complex building systems.
All right, so let's get into some real-world applications.
Okay.
You mentioned how late binding could change how we work with complex building systems.
Yes.
What did you have in mind?
Imagine you're an architect designing a high-rise with a sophisticated curtain wall system.
Okay.
In the past, you might have struggled to accurately model that system using generic IFC elements.
Yeah.
Or relied on proprietary objects from your software vendor.
I can see how that would be a pain, especially when it comes to coordinating with the actual curtain wall manufacturer.
Exactly. But with IFC 5 and late binding, the manufacturer can provide you with predefined IFC objects that perfectly represent their specific curtain wall system.
Okay.
It's like they're giving you a digital Lego set tailored to their product.
That makes a lot of sense. And because these objects are based on the IFC's standard, they'll work seamlessly with your BIM model, regardless of the software you're using.
Exactly.
No more compatibility headaches.
Precisely. You get increased accuracy, efficiency, and smoother collaboration.
Yeah.
And this applies to all sorts of building components, not just curtain walls.
Right.
Imagine manufacturers providing predefined IFC objects for everything from doors and windows to HVAC equipment and structural steel connections.
Wow, that would streamline BIM coordination tremendously.
Yes.
It's like having a universal language for building products.
That's the vision behind IFC5. And this level of detail and standardization opens up exciting possibilities for prefabrication and off-site construction.
Okay.
When manufacturers provide accurate IFC representations of their products,
Yeah.
coordinating and assembling complex building systems off-site becomes much easier.
Right.
We're talking faster construction times and improved quality control.
So IFC5 isn't just about making BIM models more accurate.
Right.
It's about transforming the way we actually build things in the real world.
Exactly. It's about creating a more integrated, efficient, and data-driven approach to the entire construction process.
Yeah.
And this integration extends beyond the physical aspects of a building.
Okay.
Remember, IFC5's focus on supporting smart buildings and digital twins?
Yes, I was hoping we'd get to that. Those are some of the most intriguing aspects of IFC5.
Okay.
But I'm a little fuzzy on how they connect to the practical features we've been discussing.
Let's look at an example.
Right.
Imagine a smart HVAC system in a modern office building.
Okay.
This system uses sensors to collect real-time data on temperature, humidity, air quality, and energy consumption.
Okay. I'm picturing a building that can practically breathe and think for itself.
In a way, yes, but in the past,
Yeah.
all that sensor data might have been trapped within the HVAC system itself or accessible only through proprietary interfaces.
So you wouldn't be able to easily integrate that valuable data into the overall building management system.
Right.
That seems like a missed opportunity.
You're right, it was. But with IFC5 and its support for object-based data exchange,
Yeah.
those sensors and their data streams can actually be represented as IFC objects within the BIM model.
Okay.
Facility managers can access and analyze real-time HVAC data alongside all the other building information,
Right.
creating a truly holistic view of building performance.
But that's like connecting the nervous system of the building to his brain.
Exactly. And if you combine that with the new query language and API standardization we talked about earlier,
Right.
you can start to imagine even more powerful applications.
Yeah.
Imagine setting up automated alerts to notify facility managers when certain temperature thresholds are exceeded,
Uh-huh.
or using real-time energy data to optimize building performance and reduce costs.
It sounds like IFC5 takes BIM beyond design and construction and into the realm of real-time building management and optimization.
You got it. IFC5 lays the groundwork for a future where buildings are dynamic, interconnected systems that can adapt and respond to changing conditions in real time.
This is blowing my mind a little.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, with all this talk about smart buildings and real-time data,
Yeah.
is there a risk that IFC5 loses sight of the more fundamental aspects of BIM,
That's a great question.
like design and construction?
It's important to remember that IFC5 isn't meant to replace existing BIM processes.
Okay.
It's about enhancing them,
Uh-huh.
making them more efficient and adaptable to the way we build and operate buildings in the 21st century.
Yeah.
The core principles of BIM,
Right.
collaboration, coordination, and data-driven decision-making,
Yeah.
remain at the heart of IFC5.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
It feels like we're on the cusp of a major evolution in BIM where all these different aspects,
Yes.
design, construction, operation, and data analysis, are finally converging.
That's a great way to put it. IFC5 is a catalyst for that convergence.
Yeah.
It provides the infrastructure,
Right.
the common language that allows these different domains to connect and communicate seamlessly.
So it's not just about a new data format. It's about enabling a whole new ecosystem of BIM applications and services.
Precisely. And this ecosystem will be driven by the needs of the AEC community.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about IFC5's community-driven maintenance model using GitHub?
Yes. That struck me as a significant shift.
Okay.
Can you remind our listener about what's changing and how IFC5 is being developed and maintained?
Traditionally,
Yeah.
the development of IFC standards has been a somewhat closed process.
Okay.
But with IFC5,
Yeah.
they're embracing a much more open and transparent approach.
Okay.
They're using GitHub for version control,
Right.
which means anyone can track changes, contribute to the development, and report issues.
So it's like open source software development for building information modeling.
Exactly. This means faster updates, easier contribution from experts,
Mm-hmm.
and a more responsive approach to the evolving needs of the AEC industry.
That sounds like a huge win for the community.
It is.
But how does this open development process actually play out in practice? Can anyone just start making changes to the IFC5 standard?
It's not quite that simple.
Okay.
There's a robust quality control workflow in place to ensure the integrity and stability of the standard.
Right.
But the key is that the process is open and transparent.
Oh.
Anyone can submit proposals for changes or additions, and those proposals are reviewed and discussed openly within the community.
That sounds like a recipe for innovation.
Yeah.
It allows the standard to evolve much faster and stay relevant to the needs of the industry.
Precisely. And this community-driven approach extends to the development of tools and resources for working with IFC5.
Okay.
There's a growing ecosystem of open-source libraries, tutorials, and online forums that are making it easier for developers and AEC professionals to get up to speed with the new standard.
This reminds me of something we touched on earlier.
Yes.
The development of a new query language specifically for IFC5.
Right.
Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. Remember how we talked about IFC5 enabling object-based data exchange?
Yes.
Well, this new query language allows you to search and retrieve specific objects and properties from IFC data with incredible ease and precision.
Okay.
Imagine being able to instantly find all the windows on a building's north facade that need to be replaced, or quickly identifying all the structural elements that were manufactured using a specific type of steel.
It's like having a super-powered search engine for your building model.
That's a great analogy. And it's not just about finding things.
Right.
This query language can also be used to analyze data, generate reports, and automate tasks,
Wow.
opening up a whole new realm of possibilities for BIM workflows.
This is starting to paint a picture of a very powerful and versatile system,
Yes.
but with so much emphasis on data and technology. Is there a risk that we lose sight of the human element in all of this?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, after all, BIM is ultimately about people collaborating to design, build, and operate better buildings.
It's crucial to remember that technology is just a tool.
Right.
The success of IFC5,
Yeah.
or any BIM standard for that matter, depends on the people who use it and their ability to collaborate effectively.
That's a really important point.
Yes.
So how does IFC5 actually support and enhance collaboration between different stakeholders in the building process?
One key aspect is the integration with other Building Smart initiatives, particularly the Building Smart Data Dictionary, or BSDD.
I've heard the term BSDD thrown around, but I'm not entirely sure what it is or how it relates to IFC5.
The BSDD is essentially a vast online dictionary that defines and standardizes the terms and properties used to describe building elements.
Okay.
It's like having a shared language that ensures everyone is using the same words to mean the same things.
Okay, I can see how that would be helpful.
Yes.
No more confusion about whether someone is referring to a wall or a partition.
Exactly. By integrating IFC5 with the BSDD, we ensure that building information is not only interoperable between different software applications, but also semantically consistent.
Okay.
This means that everyone involved in a project can understand the data in the same way, regardless of their discipline or the software they use.
So it's about removing ambiguity and creating a truly shared understanding of building information.
You got it. And this level of semantic interoperability is crucial for achieving the full potential of BIM, especially as we move towards more collaborative and integrated workflows.
This is all incredibly fascinating. I'm starting to grasp the full scope of what IFC5 is trying to achieve.
Good.
And it's honestly pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering,
Sure.
with all this talk about future possibilities, what does IFC5 mean for the average AEC professional working on projects today?
Right.
Is it something they need to worry about right now?
That's a very practical question.
Yeah.
While IFC5 represents a significant leap forward, it's important to remember that the transition to a new standard like this takes time.
Okay.
It's not something that happens overnight.
So it's not like everyone needs to throw out their existing BIM software and start from scratch.
Definitely not. Software vendors are working diligently to implement support for IFC5.
Okay.
But it's a gradual process.
Right.
In the meantime,
Yeah.
it's essential for AEC professionals to stay informed about the developments and start thinking about how these changes will impact their workflows in the long run.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's more about preparing for the future of BIM rather than making drastic changes today.
Exactly. The transition to IFC5 will be a gradual process,
Okay.
but it's a journey worth embarking on.
Right.
The benefits,
Yeah.
increased efficiency, improved collaboration, and the ability to harness the power of data like never before,
Thank you.
simply too significant to ignore.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to learn more and see how I can start incorporating IFC5 into my own work.
Good.
But before we wrap up this segment of our deep dive, I'd love to get your perspective on a topic we haven't touched on yet.
Okay.
The potential impact of IFC 5 on the sustainability of the built environment.
Right.
We've talked a lot about efficiency and data,
Yes.
but what about the bigger picture of creating more environmentally responsible buildings and cities?
That's a crucial aspect of ISC 5. In fact, the new standard has the potential to revolutionize the way we approach sustainability in the AEC industry.
I'm all ears. How does IFC 5 factor into the equation of building a more sustainable future?
One of the key ways IFC 5 contributes to sustainability is by enabling more accurate and transparent life cycle assessments of building materials and construction processes.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Can you break that down for me?
Sure. Imagine having detailed information about the materials and processes used in a building, all embedded within the IFC model. This data can be used to track and analyze the environmental impact throughout the entire life cycle of the building, from the extraction of raw materials to the eventual demolition and disposal.
So it's about going beyond just energy efficiency and considering the embodied carbon of building materials as well.
Exactly. And IFC 5's ability to integrate data from various sources further enhances these life cycle assessments.
Okay.
Imagine being able to connect real-time energy consumption data from a building's operational systems to the embodied carbon data of the building materials, all within the IFC model.
Right.
This would provide a truly comprehensive picture of the building's environmental performance over time.
That's a powerful idea. It's like having a sustainability dashboard for the entire building life cycle.
Precisely. And this data can then be used to inform more sustainable design choices, optimize construction practices, and even influence building regulations and policies.
So it's not just about making individual buildings greener.
Right.
It's about creating a more sustainable built environment as a whole.
Exactly. And IFC 5 provides the foundation for that kind of systemic change.
Right.
By enabling seamless data exchange and integration,
Yeah.
it empowers us to make more informed decisions at every stage of the building process, from design and construction to operation and eventual demolition.
This is starting to feel like a real game changer. But I'm curious, with all these exciting possibilities on the horizon,
Yeah.
what are some of the potential challenges or roadblocks we might encounter along the way? Implementing a new standard on this scale is never easy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there will be bumps in the road.
You're absolutely right. One of the biggest challenges will be overcoming inertia within the AEC industry.
What do you mean by inertia?
Well, the construction industry has a long history of being slow to adopt new technologies and standards.
Right.
There can be resistance to change.
Yeah.
Especially when it involves learning new skills or investing in new software.
So it's not just about the technical aspects of IFC 5.
Right.
It's about overcoming the human barriers to change.
Exactly. And another challenge will be ensuring that the benefits of IFC 5 are clearly communicated and understood by all stakeholders.
Yeah.
It's not enough to simply develop a new standard.
Yeah.
We need to demonstrate its value and make a compelling case for why it's worth the effort to adopt.
It sounds like a lot of this comes down to education and outreach.
Absolutely. And that's where the Building Smart community and industry leaders have a crucial role to play.
Right.
We need to create compelling educational resources, host workshops and training sessions, and showcase successful case studies that demonstrate the tangible benefits of IFC 5.
So it's about building a movement,
Yes,
not just implementing a standard.
that's a great way to put it. The success of IFC 5 will depend on a collective effort from the entire AEC ecosystem.
Okay.
Software vendors, manufacturers, designers, contractors, owners.
Right.
Everyone needs to be on board and working together to make this transition a success.
This has been an incredibly insightful conversation. I'm starting to see IFC 5 not just as a new data format, but as a catalyst for a fundamental shift in how we approach the design, construction, and operation of buildings.
I'm glad to hear that. It's an exciting time to be working in the AEC industry with
Yeah.
IFC 5.
Yeah.
We have the potential to create a more efficient, sustainable, and innovative built environment for generations to come.
Before we move on to our final thoughts, there's one more aspect of IFC 5 I'd like to touch on.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the technical details and practical implications,
Right.
but I'm curious to get your perspective on the broader societal impact of this new standard.
Okay.
How do you see IFC 5 shaping the way we live, work, and interact with the built environment in the future?
That's a great question. I think IFC 5 has the potential to transform our cities and communities in profound ways.
Okay.
For example, imagine a world where buildings are not just static structures,
Yeah.
but dynamic, responsive entities that can adapt to the needs of their occupants and the surrounding environment.
Okay, I'm picturing buildings that can adjust their lighting and temperature based on occupancy levels, or even interact with the city's energy grid to optimize consumption.
Exactly. And with IFC5's support for smart buildings and digital twins,
Right.
this vision is becoming increasingly realistic.
Yeah.
Buildings can become active participants in the urban ecosystem, contributing to a more efficient, resilient, and sustainable city.
That's an inspiring vision. But it also raises some interesting questions about privacy and data security.
Sure.
If buildings are collecting and sharing all this information,
Yeah.
how do we ensure that this data is used responsibly and ethically?
That's a crucial consideration. As we embrace the power of data and connected technologies,
Okay.
it's essential to develop robust frameworks for data governance and privacy protection.
Yeah.
We need to ensure that the benefits of smart buildings are shared equitably and that individual rights are respected.
So it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about the ethical and societal implications of how we use it.
Absolutely. As with any powerful technology, IFC5 comes with both opportunities and responsibilities.
Right.
It's up to us as an industry and as a society
Yeah.
to ensure that we use this tool wisely to create a better future for everyone.
That's a powerful message to keep in mind as we delve deeper into the world of IFC5.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, I'd like to shift gears and talk about something a little more personal.
Sure.
I know our listeners are always eager to hear about the journeys of successful professionals in the AEC industry.
Okay.
So I'd love to hear a bit about your own career path and how you became involved with IFC and Building Smart.
Well, my journey into the world of BIM and data standards has been a bit unconventional.
Intriguing. Tell me more.
Yeah.
How did you first get interested in this field?
I actually started my career as an architect,
What?
designing residential and commercial buildings.
Okay.
But I quickly became fascinated by the potential of technology to transform the design and construction process. I saw how much time and effort was wasted on manual tasks,
Uh-huh.
and how communication breakdowns between different disciplines could lead to costly errors and delays.
So you were drawn to the efficiency and collaboration aspects of BIM from the start.
Exactly. I was convinced that there had to be a better way to design and build buildings,
Yeah.
and I believed that technology held the key.
Right.
So I started exploring different BIM software and experimenting with digital workflows.
Okay.
The more I learned, the more I realized the importance of data interoperability.
What do you mean by data interoperability?
It's the ability of different software applications to exchange and understand data seamlessly.
Right.
Back then, it was a huge challenge because everyone was using different proprietary formats,
Yeah.
and it was like trying to fit square pegs into round holes.
So you're encountering the same data silo problem we talked about earlier?
Exactly, and that's when I stumbled upon IFC.
Okay.
I was amazed by the concept of having a neutral, open standard that could bridge the gap between different software platforms.
Right.
It seemed like the solution to so many of the problems I was encountering.
So you became an early adopter of IFC.
You could say that. I started using IFC on my projects, and I became an advocate for its adoption within my firm and the wider industry.
Okay.
I saw firsthand how it could improve collaboration, reduce errors, and streamline workflows.
It sounds like you were a pioneer in the early days of BIM.
Perhaps a bit. But more importantly, I was part of a growing community of like-minded professionals who were passionate about using technology to transform the built environment.
And that's how you got involved with Building Smart.
Exactly. I started attending Building Smart conferences and workshops,
Okay.
and I was blown away by the energy and enthusiasm of the community.
Yeah.
It was a group of people from all over the world,
Uh-huh.
representing different disciplines and perspectives, all united by a common goal
Right.
to develop and promote open standards for the built environment.
That sounds like a truly inspiring group to be a part of.
It is, and I feel privileged to have been involved with Building Smart for all these years.
Yeah.
I've seen firsthand how open standards like IFC have transformed the AC industry,
Right.
and I'm incredibly excited about the potential of IFC5 to take us to the next level.
Your passion for this field is truly contagious. I'm sure our listeners are feeling inspired by your story and your insights.
Thanks.
But before we wrap up this deep dive,
Right.
I'd like to turn our attention to the future.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about what IFC5 is and how it will change the AEC industry.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what lies beyond IFC5.
Uh-huh.
What are some of the emerging trends and technologies that you're most excited about?
Okay.
And how do you see the world of BIM evolving in the coming years?
That's a fascinating question. The world of BIM is constantly evolving,
Yeah.
and IFC5 is just one step in a much longer journey.
Right.
One of the trends I'm most excited about is the increasing convergence of BIM with other technologies, such as artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, ML, and the Internet of Things, IoT.
Those are some pretty buzzworthy terms.
Yeah.
Can you give me some concrete examples of how these technologies might intersect with BIM in the future?
Absolutely. Imagine AI algorithms that can analyze vast amounts of BIM data to identify patterns and optimize designs for energy efficiency, structural performance, or even occupant comfort.
Okay.
Or think about ML models that can predict potential construction delays or cost overruns based on historical project data.
So it's about using these advanced technologies to make BIM even more powerful and predictive.
Exactly. And the IoT is also playing a growing role in the BIM world.
Right.
With sensors embedded in buildings and construction sites,
Yeah.
we can collect real-time data on everything from environmental conditions to material usage and worker productivity.
Yeah.
This data can then be fed back into the BIM model to create a dynamic, living representation of the project, enabling us to make more informed decisions throughout the entire life cycle.
It sounds like we're moving towards a future where the BIM model is no longer just a static representation of a building, but a dynamic, interconnected hub that integrates data from every stage of the project.
That's a great way to put it. The BIM model is becoming the central nervous system of the built environment,
Yeah.
connecting and coordinating all the different systems and processes involved in designing, constructing, and operating buildings.
This is all incredibly exciting, but I'm also curious about the potential challenges that come with integrating these new technologies into the BIM world.
Right.
It sounds like we're entering a whole new level of complexity.
You're right. It's not without its challenges. One of the biggest hurdles will be managing the sheer volume and variety of data generated by these new technologies.
Right.
We need to develop robust data management strategies and ensure that the information is organized, accessible, and actionable.
So it's not just about collecting data.
Right.
It's about making sense of it and turning it into valuable insights.
Exactly. And another challenge will be ensuring that these new technologies are used ethically and responsibly.
Right.
As we integrate AI and ML into BIM workflows,
Yeah.
we need to be mindful of potential biases in the data and algorithms and ensure that the technology is used to enhance human capabilities, not replace them entirely.
So it's about finding the right balance between harnessing the power of technology and preserving the human element in the design and construction process.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, BIM is all about people.
Right.
It's about architects, engineers, contractors, and owners working together to create a better built environment.
Yeah.
And while technology can play a powerful role in supporting and enhancing that collaboration, it's important to remember that it's the human ingenuity and creativity that ultimately drive innovation and progress.
Those are wise words to keep in mind as we navigate this rapidly evolving technological landscape.
Yes, they are.
It's been an incredible journey exploring the world of IFC5 with you.
It has.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
From the technical intricacies to the broader societal implications.
It's been a pleasure sharing my insights with you and our listener.
I'm glad you could join us.
IFC5 represents a significant leap forward for the AEC industry, and I'm excited to see how it will shape the future of building information modeling.
As am I. So, to wrap things up,
Okay.
I want to leave everyone listening with this.
Right.
We learned a lot about the potential of IFC5 to transform the way we design, build, and operate buildings.
We did.
But it's important to remember, technology is just a tool. The true power of BIM
Right.
and of IFC5
Yes.
lies in the hands of the people who use it.
I agree.
So as you embark on your own IFC5 journey,
Yeah.
remember that you have the power to make a difference.
Absolutely.
Use this tool wisely, embrace the spirit of collaboration, and let your imagination soar.
Yeah.
The future of BIM is in your hands. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of IFC5.
You're welcome.
Until next time, keep learning, keep building, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.